How many of you out there have a home with an unfinished basement? I'm sure a lot of you have just that and mainly use that space for storage. But why waste so much square footage on boxes and old furniture? You can transform that dark, damp basement into real, usable living space. I found out exactly how with our friend, the Basement Doctor. We are in an Arlington basement with the Basement Doctor, Ron Greenbaum. And Ron, you can tell just by looking around this basement that it's an older home. Tell me a little bit about what's going on now.
Well, this is an 80-plus-year-old home here in Arlington, as you said, and we're going to be finishing the basement. And we're using a lot of real modern techniques here today, and it's going very, very well.
And a lot of different things going on. Can you take us step by step through the process?
Sure. Well, as you can see here, what we had to deal with was stone walls that had been coated and coated with a lot of different products that don't necessarily stop mold or from growing. So what we originally had to do was make sure that none of this was growing on the outside walls. And we do have a Basement Doctor epoxy coating that goes over that ensures the fact that that mold will not continue to grow.
Well, let's take a walk over to the other corner and we'll see where you started with that process.
Okay.
All right, Ron, we're over here now in the opposite corner of the basement, and all dry basements start with a good sump pump, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when we finish a basement, we refuse to finish it without a battery backup sump pump. So that's what we've installed here with the Water Watch alarm. So if just in case it rains for 40 days and 40 nights and the battery isn't working, the alarm itself will go out and let the homeowner know.
Now, Ron, we've got a little bit different material on the walls here. Are we at a different stage than we were back over?
Yeah, as you can see, these walls have been coated with the antimicrobial coating, and as you can see, it makes a big difference in terms of making sure that under no circumstances do we want any type of mold growth or mildew.
So we've gone from that raw wall, if you will, to this step, and now what's the next step after that?
Well, the next step, we want to do framing, which we're starting to do here, and what we use is metal studs. Again, we want to do as much mold-resistant materials we possibly can in a basement, and so we always use metal studs in that respect. And then the next thing we did, because it was low ceiling height, and actually this is something that we're doing even in very upscaled homes in a lot of cities, is we're painting the ceiling black. It's a stylish thing, but it also makes sure that you can access your lights, your pipes, things like that without dropping the ceiling, because if we had dropped the ceiling here, there would not have been enough height to finish this.
All right, here we have another corner, Ron, and here you see a good example of the framing and the insulation. Why don't you give the folks an idea of what we're looking at here with this?
Well, this is an inside wall, so it does not need to be insulated. So we used, again, the metal studs here, and it'll be drywalled. And we moved to an outside wall here, and we use something called Magic Wall, which is a great product because it's R16 insulation. It's closed cell, and it fits right in with the insulation we did above. So we're giving people a much more energy-efficient basement. We have a vapor barrier of about an inch in between the wall itself and those uneven concrete walls, and the studs are built right in. And what this is in each
looks
panel...
like whipped cream, Ron.
It does look like whipped cream. It's actually a combination of glue and insulation, because inside of there is actually the support. Each one of these is the support for the wall, so the wall cannot be pushed in. You can see there's two of them in each panel here.
And again, what this does is not only help with the waterproofing process, but also with the insulating process,
Exactly,
right?
And it's R16, which it's about as high as you can get.
And it looks like it's ready for the next step as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be dry. Next step after this dries is drywall.
Okay, Ron, here we have a great example of the insulation leading right over to the drywall, which you can apply here. Now, before we get into the details on this, why green?
Well, that's a great question, Dave. And the reason it's green is it's mold resistant. We use green board or purple board, and we want to make sure under all circumstances we stop any potential for mold growth in the basement.
And that leads me to my next question. I notice it's about an inch up off the ground here, and there's got to be a reason behind that.
Well, same reason. We want to make sure, typically, the only time now since we've waterproofed the basement you might see water is if a pipe breaks. And that's not usually a massive amount of water, and we want to make sure that it doesn't get behind the board. So we keep it elevated off the ground.
Now, you've got this nice drywall up here. Can the homeowner homeowner put anything on here, nail anything on there if they want to?
I mean, our walls will hold up to 600 pounds, big screen TVs, pictures, you name it. Shelving, you can put it on the wall.
So no restrictions, really. And what we've gone through from the beginning to what we have right here is a whole lot of usable area living space down in this basement.
Yeah, in this day and age, you've got to make every square inch count. And we try to do that, and they'll have a dry, clean, healthy basement environment.
And warm as well. It'll be nice and roasty warm down here.
It absolutely will.
Ron, I think you've done the job down here again. Another perfectly transformed basement. Thanks. We appreciate the tour.
Okay, Dave. Sure.